Okay. Using the diagonals, complete the following. Prove that this quadrilateral GHIJ is a rectangle. So, if we're going to use the diagonals, I have to look at GI, that's one diagonal, and I have to look at HJ, that's another diagonal. Well, if I want to use the diagonals, I know that in a rectangle, the diagonals are congruent. But to say that, I have to also say that the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Well, the easiest way to prove that a quadrilateral is a parallelogram is use a midpoint formula. Let's find a midpoint of JI. The midpoint, okay, is really the average of the x's of the endpoint. So I take G, and let's look at I, 4, 5, right? So the midpoint of GI is equal to the average of the x's, which you add them, and the average of the y's of the endpoints, which you do that, and you get 5 over 2, 6 over 2, which equals 2.5, 3. Okay, let's check out the midpoint of HJ. So H is located at 5, 3. J is at 0, 3. And if I want to find a midpoint of HJ, I need to find the average of its x's. So the x's are 5 plus 0 divided by 2. And the average of the y's is 3 plus 3 divided by 2, which equals 2.5, 3. Okay, so the midpoints of both diagonals is 2.5, 3. The same, which means the diagonals bisect each other. Okay, so we can say GHIJ is a parallelogram because quad is a parallelogram if and only if diagonals bisect each other. Now, the next thing we're going to use the diagonals is they bisect each other if I could show that they're also equal in length using the distance formula. Then I can say that a parallelogram with congruent diagonals is a rectangle. So let's take a look. So G is at 1, 1, and the diagonal goes to I, which is 4, 5. And the other diagonal is HJ, which is 0, 3. So let's calculate the change in x and the change in y. Okay, so our change in y here is equal to plus 4, and our change in x here is plus 3. Let's look at the other guy. Change in x here is 0. The change in y is 0, and our change in x is equal to 5. Now if I graphed it, I could have just counted. So the length of GI is equal to the change in x squared plus the change in y squared, which is equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared, which is square root of 25, which is 5. Now, this diagonal happens to be horizontal, right? It equals 5. So the diagonals are congruent. HJ equals GI. So we can now say parallelogram GHIJ is a rectangle. Why? Because parallelogram with congruent diagonals is a rectangle. Okay.